feeling right now, today?
We've been very sad the last week or two for some reason, both of us. I'm not sure quite why, but this is a vindication of Christian, and that's what we've been looking for quite a long time. This is where people find out that Christian was not responsible for his own murder. In fact, the truth is out, and so that is I think that will help us.
What's spelled out in the vindication for you? Like what?
I did on the just the car drive to Denver. I did feel not as heavy, like a weight was lifted, because from the outset we're striving to clear his name. That was always to clear his name, particularly because of the completely inaccurate false statement that was put out at the beginning that he was responsible for his own killing. And I really feel with everything that's happened, his name is totally cleared. He was murdered, he did nothing wrong. And the settlement, the non-economic terms, everyone that's watched the video has said, he was a victim of a terrible crime. And our beautiful boy now, I just feel he's resting, knowing that his name, there's been justification and his name has been cleared. And that is really everything to me, everything.
Let's talk about the non-economic terms, because I'm absolutely fascinated with the things that you guys were able to accomplish in this negotiation. What's the most important non-economic thing that you're able to get here?
I think that the memorials and the memory of him, keeping his memory alive is very important to us, and I think it will. I've read some things about people that go through this kind of thing, that as the years go by, those things help a lot, because you never really come to terms with a loss like this. And I suppose we also hope that the changes in police training and the publicity around this will stop it happening to another family in the US, and that if that were the case, that would be a big help to us as well, I think, emotionally.
It is, it's interesting, it's the two parts. I think when we found out, we were told about the park and we were told about his art in the state capitol. That's lovely, and it helps keep his memory alive, but also it's a reminder, when people maybe, but who was Christian Glass? What happened there? But for me, the police training is like, if we could save it just through going through this and having to be so public, one more family, because it's going to happen again, because it just did. It happened after Elijah, George Floyd, Christian, I don't know, there's just been so many, and you just think, how many does there have to be before it just doesn't happen again? And police forces, and with more training, that they'll stop and bloody think before they just ramp it up and become so aggressive. And when people, fight or flee, that is the natural human response. If you are under attack, you don't just sit there and be attacked. A human being will fight that, or they'll run from it. And there's been black people that have run, being shot in the back. Well, if you're under attack, I'd run. So, that's a normal response, fight or flight. And it's not an act of aggression. The police are the ones being aggressive. And that's the human emotion as a response to that.
I know that this settlement includes a lot of you guys getting involved in things. Like, you'll put a statement on the front of a video that'll be played for State Patrol. But you're also going to get the opportunity to speak to new cadets in Clear Creek County. What do you want to say to them?
I think there were a lot of officers there that night. All of them should have intervened at any point along the way. If they had, he'd be alive. They actually have a legal duty to intervene. Their training tells them to intervene, but it's not getting through. And so maybe hearing directly from victims like us will help them understand why they have a duty to intervene and how it can help avoid these sorts of situations in the future.
And to see we're all human beings. Like, I wonder when the police are there, they stop seeing this scared human being. You know, let's have some humanity and some compassion, because humanity and compassion was just non-existent that night. And that's one thing, is we're all in this world together. And they I think, well, I know the police have that mentality of them and us. It's not them and us. We're all together. We're all human. And people that get stopped by the police, they're scared. Our daughter was stopped soon after Christian died. She was stopped for speeding, and she had a massive panic attack. And the police was like, "What's wrong with you?" But people sometimes have. They call it neurodiverse behaviour, but behaviour that the police like, what's wrong with you? You don't understand how terrifying it is to be surrounded with guns being pointed at you and aggressive behaviour. We're scared. So when we don't behave in a normal, typical way that you would expect, it's because people are petrified. So just, stop and think about how you're coming across and how much fear you incite in people.
I can't help think that would probably be pretty difficult, though, for both of you to go back there to that sheriff's office that did this. How do you summon the strength for that?
One thing, we have been up to the mountains. I've been skiing this season, and we've sort of tried to avoid getting into a position where you just can't face something, you can't go there, because you have to move on, you have to be able to do it. But now that you say it, I'm not quite sure how we'll do that, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
What do they say? You keep your friends closer, your enemies closer. It doesn't do any good to not get involved, because to do good in the future, you know, there's people that live up there, that's their police force. We don't live with that, they're not our police force, but we know people, we actually have friends that live up there, and they go, you know, these are the people that are supposed to keep us safe. So I think it's important it's really, really hard to go up there. Also, they're not, I want to say, friendly to us. You know, you were there, the first date of the court appearance, they got all of them to intimidate us. What would you say, a dozen of them were up there?
Yeah, an honour guard for the
but they had all dressed up in body armour and all gunned up, and we had to walk through all of them into the courthouse, and it was very intimidating, and it wasn't friendly. So they're not, you know, the police still aren't friendly to us up there. They're trying to intimidate us. But, you know, I'm not intimidated. I'll go up there because they have to learn, you know, that they can't treat human beings like this. They're supposed to help and protect us, not scare us and intimidate us. And that seems to be the culture up there.
You talk about them not being friendly. You know, their statements since then haven't been the best. But I read a line in the apology note written to both of you that says, the sheriff acknowledges that his deputies didn't meet expectations when it came to this situation. How do you react to that? Other agencies said it was terrible, it was awful, it should have never happened. But
yes,
the agency that did it said they didn't meet expectations.
And it's crazy because that's the agency that murdered Christian. I mean, of all the agencies, Clear Creek County are the most culpable, yet they put out a statement that was, I mean, to use an understatement, because they being very understated, incredibly disappointing. Meet expectations, it's almost like a
bad batch of brownies, you know, and we just need to try harder with the new recipe, and it's just...
You didn't eat
it's
meet
not
goals.
the right level.
But meet expectations, talk about understatement of the bloody century, you know? Did not meet expectations. One of their officers murdered our son, 2nd-degree murder. Did not expect expectations. I mean, it's underwhelming and very disappointing language.
I'm just gonna have, if you just pull your necklace out of the phone, on the outside of your shirt.
Sorry. This was the necklace that was in Christian's car, and that's why it was so... Okay.
Remember that necklace. Remember that from the first news conference. This is a lot of money. I mean, this sends a statement to police around the country. I know this was never about money for you. What do you plan on doing with the funds from this lawsuit?
Nothing right away, because it's a bit overwhelming. But it's sad money. You know, we look at the settlement amount, and I think it's Christian's money. Christian's been given this money because he was murdered. So this is blood money, you know, and that's, you know, there's sad money in Hattie. This is sad money. The main thing about the money is it sends a very strong message that this was so bad, so wrong. And we will try and turn it into good money by doing good things with it and setting up a foundation in our son's name.
What do you want that foundation to do?
We're still,
I know,
we're
we
still
haven't.
talking about it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of ideas. Young people, education,
Mental health,
having a positive view of the world and things like that.
Just young people, I think
But
generally, just, you know, Christian was young people, and being older now, I think the young people, it is tough. It's just tough in the world. You know, the ability, drugs, you know, cannabis and all the rest, and you know, all the other drugs and fentanyl, you know, that's a huge problem. I mean, there's so much, but I think the overarching thing would be young people. Yeah.
Anything with police reform, or, because I know you've been steadfast in that, and you're accomplishing a lot.
Yeah, we hope that this will, particularly with duty to intervene, I think that's something that could help. I mean, Christian's case probably would have been buried, but for Elijah McLean's case, because you know, Shanae McLean campaigned for quite a long time to get justice in that case, and things like body cameras, the duty to intervene, although it didn't help Christian in the end, the body cameras was critical. I don't think anyone would have found out the truth otherwise.
And that was just brought in. I think that wasn't brought in that long ago. And honest, if it wasn't for the body cam footage, their lies they would have got away with it. They would have done. And they tried very much to get away with it. They tried very hard to get away with murder. They really did try to sweep it under the carpet.
I mean, I can't help but think that if you hadn't hired an attorney, you might not know what actually happened that night.
Part of me, I just didn't want to know. But I wanted to believe what they said was true.
No.
Well, I didn't want to, but I wanted it to be some meaning. The idea that he was murdered was very hard for me to accept. It took a long time. And how can people, the lack of humanity, as you say, that how can people carry on like that? And I meet people, and they tell me, I saw the video, that I'm so sorry. People I don't even know come up to me. I'm consoling people. Had grown men cry on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Because they've seen this video and how horrific it is. We've never watched it. It's just so hard to believe that you would hire someone that is capable of that kind of act.
And the sad, we actually said this to our lawyers, that it is, and our lawyers have been obviously amazing with us. We've been very, very fortunate. I was very lucky to actually reach out, network sort of, and be recommended them, because we wouldn't have a clue. But the sad fact is we actually did need lawyers, because we thought the police and the justice system would result in justice. We thought that the CBI report and justice would happen, and you're absolutely right. Without lawyers by our side, none of this would have happened. You know, the results that's been achieved.
I know nothing brings him back, and so I always hate that question about justice, because I don't think you ever really feel justice. But what does it say to you to have his name associated with so much, all of this that's going to be in state buildings, but also the largest settlement in Colorado history?
It's just how wrong it was. That really everything that's happened, the non-economic terms, the financial settlement, the publicity, it's because it was so shocking and so wrong. And I hope to God this just saves someone else. Just saves someone else from being murdered senselessly when they're asking for help by the police.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is people to see this. The message it sends is that this was horrific murder, that it shouldn't have happened. What can we do to stop it happening again? What can we do so that another family in Colorado or the US doesn't suffer the same way? That's the thing that I think will. That's the thing that will help us, I think, in coming forward.
Yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted really quickly?
I just wanted to know why you brought some of the things you did today.
I actually did it about 10 minutes before we left home. So in his room we have all his things, right? His rocks, you know, Meccano things and Lego that he built because he loved that when he was young, all his art. So it's sort of a shrine. I actually find it very, very hard to go in there. Very, very hard. I just find it so overwhelming. But today I thought that also we want to begin to start celebrating his life, and just, I don't know, to have more of a, positive, like that he achieved so much. He was a wonderful son. He was brother. I mean, I've got pictures there of him with his, when he's younger, and his art. And this, I love this one. This is the first one I picked out because look at those two lines, just, love and compassion for each other. Why can't we just all be kinder and love each other a bit more? And just let's get rid of the aggression in this world. That will be wonderful.
Thank you both for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.